Hello, welcome to our final episode of Behind the Melodies for our 23-24 season. This time we are speaking with members from Khemia Ensemble and dance project choreographer Jiwon. And we're so excited for this collaboration of music and dance happening live together. And you'll get to hear lots more about that throughout this interview. I am here in Blandwood Mansion, which is right downtown, and this gorgeous, beautiful old building with gardens and all kinds of things, and it's really stunning. And my co-host, Dwyla, was not able to be here, but I'm winging it and making it work by myself today. Just a little bit about Blandwood. It's a historic museum that was the family home of Governor John Motley Moorhead, who was the 29th governor of North Carolina. It was taken over by Preservation Greensboro in the 1970s and repaired and brought up to this gorgeous standard where it is now. They have the most amazing, I don't even know, 10-foot doors that I'm looking at, and this stunning work on the ceilings. So it's definitely worth coming and checking out. They have all kinds of mid-19th century architecture, decorative arts, landscape paintings, portraiture, and all of that kind of stuff that was original to the house. And it's part of the Register of Historic Places, and it's a very special National Historic Landmark that's located right here in downtown Greensboro. So if you guys want to come check it out yourself, you can go to preservationgreensboro.org and find out all the information about this place and everything else that Preservation Greensboro does. They are also having a historic home visit in May, the 18th and 19th, if you guys want to check that out. It's going to be in the Sunset Hills region, which is where they have all the balls in the winter. So definitely fun to go see all those homes. So we're so grateful to Blandwood for hosting us for this interview, and we are going to start talking to Khemia Ensemble and Jiwon right now. So tell us a little bit about how Khemia Ensemble was formed.
Yeah, Khemia started officially in 2015, but Amy Petrangeli, myself, Carolina Heredia, we met in a new music festival in Vermont. And from that collaboration, we started discussing about what about if we create a group. So then in 2015, we got together, went on a South American tour. And since then, the group has been together with a couple of different people, but it's almost 10 years now.
Wow, that's awesome. Where in Vermont was the festival?
Was the New Music on the Point. It was a small town. I even don't remember what's the name of the town, but it was next to a lake. It was a gorgeous place, and so it was really a great place to be around of new music, people with kind of same ideas. So from that collaboration, we're yeah, we need to keep doing this.
Nice. And so you started with 4 people, did you say?
So we have 4 people at that point, and then once we came back from the festival, Carolina started gathering more people. So then we had the cellist, the violin player, percussion, all that. Yeah, I don't know, Chelsea and Shen, because they were a big part of the development of the group years later as well.
Okay, Jiwon, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got started in dance and choreography?
Yeah, of course. I actually took modern class here first through a dance project when I moved from South Korea. So that's how I met dance crew and dance project. And I've been here for now 8 years. And I've been doing their dance residency and virtual performance during 2020 COVID era. And that's how I connected people there. And yeah, they offered me this amazing opportunity. I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, well, we are so excited to see you guys all come together. That's going to be really fun. Can you maybe somebody from Khemia, can you talk a little bit maybe about one of the pieces on the program and kind of how you chose it?
Yeah, sure. I'll do this one. So first of all, we're super excited about this collaboration. This is the first time that Khemia is working with dancers. Some of us individually have worked with dancers, and done kind of interdisciplinary works. So we're just really excited. This is like a new chapter, I guess, for Khemia to be doing something with Jiwon and Dance Project, and so we're very, very, very grateful. But this program that we're sharing, especially since it's part Dance Project, some collaborations between Khemia and Dance Project, and then Khemia alone. So we get a little smattering of everything. And two pieces in particular that I'm quite excited about. They are products out of this competition that we had last year. It was a competition for a call of collaborators, a call for composers to collaborate with us. It's a little bit different from like a call for scores, where a piece is already written and they submit that score. We really wanted a call to work with someone who would get to know us, that we would get to know the composer, and we would create a work together. And so we had, I think it was over 400 applications from people, and we had to divide it up between the 8 members of Khemia. So we listened to a lot of music, and we got to explore a lot of interesting profiles of composers internationally, from Europe, from China, from the United States, South America. It was really amazing. And the 2 winners from this competition were Bobby Ge, who is now a PhD student in composition at Princeton, and Flory Monders, who's based in London. And so we've done, we've workshopped these pieces for the whole past year, and we did kind of like a soft workshop premiere while we were in South Dakota last fall. But this is really like the real premiere of these 2 pieces. And they're both very, very different. Bobby's piece is called People of Light. And it's with kind of an audio track. So we're all actually listening to a click track as we're performing to make sure that we're in sync with the audio. And I don't know if Jiwon wants to talk about this, but we're super stoked because there's aerialists involved in this particular collaboration with dance. And we were just, I don't know, at least for me, I was amazed when we first saw glimpses of the choreography. I was like, wow, we have aerialists? Like, that's amazing. And then Flory's piece is like a really fun piece that's about like it kind of combines parts of like pop music, of techno music. She was very much inspired by like the underground like pop world of genre and music. And so yeah, very different pieces, and that one also has some choreography. So we're really excited to share those works.
Nice. So to kind of tie us into that, Jiwon, can you talk a little bit about what the process looked like for you from kind of hearing these pieces, and then how you created the visuals that we're going to get to see?
Yeah, first they sent me all the music files last year. Was it last July, June? We started working together. And I love their flexibility. They just like send me all music and pick whatever I want. So I wanted to pick everything, but yeah, my option was limited. So yeah, I think I picked 5, 6, and we talked through like what can be together, like chunk, like 3 in a row, 2 in a row, something like that. Yeah, when I heard Pupil of Light first, I only could think of Ariel with the sound and music. So yeah, so I contacted Michelle, um, my aerial teacher. I'm doing aerial too, but yeah, I look pathetic on the silk, but yeah, she's my teacher, of course. Like, she looked amazing. And she created that choreo, that part for herself. So we split it. So I did dance part, and we worked on together how we can make transition with my dancer, Lily Bieber, and her part as well. So yeah, I'm really excited to share that as well. And other music as well. I try to catch some counts, which was impossible actually. As dancer, I always like 5, 6, 7, 8, but there's no 5, 6, 7, 8. So I try to count like, is that 6 and then 4 and 8? So we did rehearsal. Dancers, here's an 8. And the accent was different. So it wasn't 8. So yeah, that was my struggles making dance piece with the music. that I'm not familiar with before. But yeah, it's still been very fun. And all dancers are talking about the same thing too. We hear something new every single time when we run rehearsal. We thought we knew the music well, but like, oh, they always say, there was a different accent. There's a different drum sound here we hear. So yeah, it's been very fun picking music first and putting choreography on top of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't even think about counts, but of course that's something that you have to have when you're creating choreography, and with newer music that tends to move around a lot more, right?
Yeah. And I'm so used to making, I think this is something I say all the time in my modern dance class with students. I make comparison with Pina Bausch and Cunningham and Annie, and we briefly talked about Cunningham, John Cage, yeah. And Pina Bausch, they have completely different style. Pina Bausch started mostly with the story, and Cunningham mostly started from music. So I'm Korean. Dance mostly has clear story, and ballet obviously as well. So I try to think of like, wow, this is something I used to teach, like Cunningham style music first, and I just put dance top of it. Either that sync with the counts or not. I try to make sync because that's something magical as audience members, seeing like music and sing at the same time. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how those two work together on stage.
And so I think we talked about this, but my understanding is that just for our audience to be able to picture it, the Khemia is going to be on stage with the dancers. So you all will be kind of together moving around well, the musicians will be moving around, but the dancers will be kind of moving around the musicians a little bit.
Yeah, that's something we talked about on Saturday. We did joint rehearsal together. And we're talking about the space and feet, like the space, the metric system is different because I'm from Korea. I'm always counting as, oh, this should be 1 meter, but it was a 6 feet, right? Was it
Yeah, it was
30?
about
I don't know. Yeah.
It's
So
very
yeah,
funny
so
because
that,
so last weekend we got together, but I live in Greensboro, and so I was at the studio space with Jiwon, and we were like laying on the floor to try and figure out the height, like how long. Like,
yeah, our one dancer really, my height is 6 feet, and she lay down, and that worked perfectly.
That's good that you chose her then. That's awesome. So yeah, that kind of brings up a fun point about Khemia. Can you guys talk about where you all live? Because I know Annie is here, and she is one of the wonderful piano professors at UNCG, but none of the rest of you live in Greensboro. So can you guys kind of talk about where everybody in Khemia lives, and then how you come together to make these performances happen?
So we are 8 members and we live in 6 states. So I'll go down our roster and we can map this out. So we've got Amy Petrangeli, our soprano, who lives in Athens, Georgia. We've got Mary Matthews, our flutist, and she's in Tallahassee, Florida. And then Thiago, our clarinetist here, he is in Logan, Utah, north of Salt Lake. We've got Urjin Khan, our violinist. She's in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Our cellist, Ellie Lara, she is in Columbia, Missouri. Annie, of course, is in Greensboro, our pianist. And then Shane and I, our 2 percussionists, we're in Spanish Fork, Utah, which is just south of Salt Lake. And as far as how we get together and rehearse, I'll let Shane speak to that.
We pray, and then we get together and hope it works. No. So the group originally started, we were all much closer. A couple of years before the pandemic, we all got jobs and kind of split up to different places around the country, and kind of had to create a new model of how we worked. And at that point, it was essentially a model of an annual residency where we'd get together and rehearse and then go back to our locations. And then when we'd come together for shows, we already knew the material. That's still partially what we do, but the pandemic actually, maybe a small silver lining, is it taught us a lot of ways to use technology to help our personal practice process. So through the process of doing remote residencies with students and trying to create recordings and premieres and performances, we all got a lot more comfortable recording things. We also created, and some of us, I do a lot of production stuff for the group. I learned how to create click tracks that can be flexible and follow different types of music. And we started to, when we worked with composers for commissions, we started to request scores that had different types of cue lines that would allow us to follow each other unconducted, basically with a reduced score on our individual parts, which is something that's unusual because we're an 8-member ensemble, but we're unconducted. And 8 members is really like a borderline. Now, usually if you have 2, 3, or 4 members, it's very rare to have a conductor. If you have 10, 12, 15, 20, 40 members, it's very common to have a conductor, but 8 members is that sweet spot right in between, and we most commonly play without a conductor. So the combination of the ability to record ourselves, click tracks, MIDIs, specific cue lines have really helped us refine a individual preparation process that allows us to come together in a really short period of time and basically be able to play a piece all the way through on essentially a first rehearsal / reading session, and then be ready for a performance, that same day or the day after. So we combine that with the concept of an annual or a biannual residency, where we just meet just to rehearse and or record, and it gets better every time, but it seems to work really well.
Yeah, that's very creative ways to kind of keep you all together and allow you to keep playing together. So that's awesome. Okay, so that kind of leads us, as you guys are touring around the country and performing, to does anybody have any favorite places that you've performed, or any like really fun performance memories that have been particularly special for you for some reason?
One of Khemia's favorite places that we've performed was last year, January of 2023. And we were fortunate enough to perform in Bentonville, Arkansas, which is a small town, but is like a really fascinating city that's like got the best coffee ever. It's full of bikes, and it's like the home of Walmart. And they also have this incredible, oh yeah, Tiago loves Walmart. And so that was, we went to the Walmart Museum, and that was like a really defining moment for our ensemble. They had great ice cream. And but they also have this incredible like modern art museum called Crystal Bridges. And so we got to perform there. And, aside from the fact that the venue itself is exquisite, it's just like floor to ceiling windows that overlook this this lake. And also Van Cliburn's piano is there. And so I got to play the piano that Van Cliburn would tour around with. But we were also playing this piece that was on our Intersections sophomore album by Dave Bienenbender called In a Field of Stars. And this piece was inspired by a piece of artwork by a Japanese artist, Yayoi Kasuma. And she has these like installations called infinity rooms, and they have them in various museums all around the world. But one of those installations was here at this museum. And so we had a whole pre-concert interview with the composer and the poet who provided the text for this song, Robert Fanning. And so audience members got to kind of see the work, experience the work. We got to experience the work also for the first time because you walk through it. And then play the piece in a venue that houses this installation. So that was really special.
Amazing. I didn't even know that part. I remember when you guys were there, but I didn't know that part about the artist. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Does anybody else from Khemia have one that they want to share?
So when we were talking about how everyone's spread around the country, that was a really pivotal time for the group. And that was basically the fall of 2017 is when that change happened, where we went from being mostly able to rehearse in person. We were very local. Most people lived in Michigan. Tiago lived in Iowa. To being all across the country in different places because everyone or most people graduated and got jobs and moved around. And so right at the end of that first year of this new model, we were fortunate enough to play at a really significant venue for new music called National Sawdust, which is in Brooklyn, New York. And this is like it's a really amazing space because it's like you'd expect in New York. It's a really small room, but it's super tall and it's got essentially a built-in flexible lighting installation is probably the best word in the walls. So there's like these crazy panels that make all this geography in the walls, and then they can change the lighting in between the panels and of course on the stage, but also inside those panels and do all of these interesting things. And so we'd all seen pictures of it. Some people had been to see shows there, but it was probably the biggest venue we had played up to that point, but it was also one of those first shows where we were operating on this new model of being spread across the country. And so it was really scary for us as a group. But when we came together and we were all really, really inspired by the room, and a lot of friends came that had been around the country, but had either been in New York or were now living in New York at the time. So when we saw everyone in the audience, we felt very comfortable. The performance was super successful. And it was one of those really important milestones for the group that really told us, okay, this model can work. We found success. We played a really famous international venue for new music. And it motivated us to keep moving forward and do all the things that we're doing. So that was May 2018.
Jiwon, is there a special performance memory or a venue that you've performed in that sticks out for you?
Of course, yeah. First thing I can think of when I performed in Seoul, South Korea, it was one of tour performance from Busan Dance Company. The piece was made by Jung Korean, Korean choreographer. And the reason why I remember so much, the theater stage setup was completely tilted. So from the behind curtain, we could see the tilted stage very dramatically. And we didn't practice on tilted dance studio because we don't have a tilted place that we can practice. So that was first rehearsal, went to Seoul because our main place was in Busan, southern part of South Korea. So we went up, did first rehearsal. Oh, we all like fell. There was a lot of running. I'm glad there was a bare feet dance piece. But yeah, that was very challenging. But after a few times later, I think our muscle memory is amazing. Even tilted floor, we kind of did the same thing right above our feet, but our feet were still struggling because yeah, tilted floor. It did partnering too on that floor. Yeah, that was very interesting, but it was very satisfying after all, and we got good feedback from the audience members. A second thing I can think of here, my first performance with North Carolina Dance Festival. Also, that was part of dance project space here. It was actually the same theater. The reason why I remember so much, that was first time I shared my Changu Korean drum dance with the North Carolina Folk Fest. So yeah, I enjoyed it so much dancing with all the great community here, and it was so welcoming. And yeah, it was really meaningful performance for me doing first Korean drum dance in North Carolina Folk Fest.
Wow, I'd love to see that. I hope you do that again sometime so I can catch it.
I agree. Yeah, I hope there's another chance that I can perform Korean dance in this community.
Definitely. Okay, so the last question kind of pertains to our Season of the Arts, which this concert is going to be our big finale, and I don't know that we could do a better job of showing the collaboration of music and other art forms than with live dance. So we are super excited about this. But for you all who are performing, not just here in Greensboro, but around the country and around the world, you have this wonderful perspective of kind of getting to see the arts world on a bigger lens. And so I'm just wondering if any of you have thoughts on what you think is like amazing about the arts world right now, and then if there are any places that you would love to see the arts world moving forward or improving, if you have any thoughts about that.
It's a really big question, but I think a couple of things stand out to me that are exciting about what's happening. The first being interdisciplinary collaborations like this one with Dance Project and Khemia, and seeing not only music and dance, but maybe art and music, art and dance, people just kind of expanding outside of their specific field and seeing how it can be enhanced with something else. And I think that also draws more audiences in who maybe are interested in one of those things, and then they're exposed to the other, and that only creates more possibilities of what can be created. So that is very cool. I would say the other thing that's exciting is that there's this big cultural push to have more representation and programming across arts organizations. And not to say that we've achieved the level of what we need to do, but I feel like people in general have less patience for programming that is very, I don't want to say that there's anything wrong with having traditional programming, but people are expecting there to be more of a variety, more diversity, more underrepresented voices. And that's awesome. I mean, and a part of what Khemia does, we love living composers, working with living composers and artists that represent all kinds of backgrounds. So we hope to contribute to that in a small way. But of course, more to be done.
And I would also add another thing that Khemia has kind of always had as a part of what it does is thinking of ways to use technology to enhance the performance. And technology and music have been pretty closely related for the 20th century and beyond. But oftentimes, especially in classical music, we're not thinking of things like lighting design, visuals, Ataka shows, installations, electronics, amplification, things like that. That some of those things are common in music, but not as much so in classical music. And so we see that trend happening more so now in the last 10 years. And it's something that will be in various ways a part of what we do in this show. So in addition to collaborating across different art forms, also as technology grows, using that to be a part of and enhance the performance experience.
Yeah, and just to jump in and sort of reference that, the other choreographer who's featured on this program, Eric Mullis, the piece is written for a dancer who's wearing, I don't have my notes in front of me to say it exactly right, but a suit that essentially makes noise. And so they provide their own sound through their movement. And that to me is such an interesting exploration of dance and technology. So it's definitely, happening in all the art forms, which is really cool. Jiwon, do you have any thoughts to kind of represent the dance side?
Yeah, thinking of dance, I think that's the most human thing when we're losing humanity around the world. We still have same element of body, limbs, two arms, legs that we can use this body and with the music, and I think that's most human thing I can think of. And and also seeing other people moving like dancers on stage. I hope this can create any kind of feelings or emotions they can have during the show. I think that can be very mutual feeling from stage as performers and for audience members as well. So yeah, I think that's the kind of like main idea that I have before I get on the stage and when I'm making a dance piece as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Tiago, do you want to comment, or Annie?
So yeah, kind of going what Chelsea was talking about is, I think we're living a really exciting time that people are a little more open, even though in society we see this struggle right now between those who don't want to change and those who are pushing a little bit change. In arts, I'm feeling like we're going through a period, as Chelsea was talking about, like let's expand the repertoire. Let's expand what it means to be in a concert, right? What Chen is talking about, bring technology or provide a different experience of concert, right? This collaboration with dance, I mean, this is quite exciting for art, I think, right now. One of our pieces we are playing this concert start with this sentence like, I love sounds just as they are, which is a quote by John Cage. And I think it's a beautiful statement, right? Like, and I think art's kind of moving a little bit into that direction again. And it's just exciting, I think. So this idea of openness, of acceptance, of the different is very, very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with what everyone has said. And I think given that we are in this interesting time and space right now where society is changing all around us, culture is changing around us. And I think as musicians and artists, we need to reflect that change, whether or not that is challenging it or, not challenging it. And I think of that in the way of, everyone now has these shorter attention spans. We're so motivated by what's on our phones and the screens. And so like the challenge being, can we stretch those attention spans to like really focus in on, we are here for 1 hour, we are here in this space. It's getting harder and harder to have bodies and seats. I think like during the pandemic, since so much was live streamed, it's so much easier to be like, oh, I'm in the comfort of my home and I just want to watch this thing on my screen. But it doesn't beat the live experience, I think, and that visceral feeling that you get when you hear an incredible piece of music or you're watching movement across a dance floor and you don't even know why you're feeling these things, but you are. And like, those are the things that we are like working for and achieving for, but because I think the mentality of a lot of people's and their attention spans, they are shifting. That's why we need to also insert multimedia interdisciplinary works so that it becomes more engaging. And I think the possibilities are endless. And so many people are, I think, striving to see what the boundaries of those possibilities are.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we are so excited to have you all here in Greensboro together. My co-host Twyla usually finishes up the interviews by asking a question about what you guys are like when you're not working, you're on your personal time. What are you like binging on TV, or what movies are you watching right now? So can you guys share with us a little bit of kind of what you're doing in your relaxation time?
Okay, I will start on this and I will be the one saying, I'm really hooked up on TikTok right now. But like, I'm moving towards photography now. I'm on TikTok photography right now. On the show, I don't know, I've been watching a show about Cold War and being fascinated. I'm a lot of history, so getting like those perspectives quite cool. So, the balance, TikTok, Cold War is working.
I just have to follow up with that one. Whenever Khemia is together, Tiago's usually just like kind of giggling to himself on his phone. It's usually because he's watching some ridiculous TikTok video and then he has to share with everyone. And yeah, I'm not on TikTok. But yeah, I appreciate all the silly videos and fascinating things that Tiago will share with us. I haven't had much time to watch movies or shows lately, but I'm currently reading a book that I've been trying to read more. And I'm reading this book. I'm somewhat of a recreational runner. I'm not a consistent runner, but I try to run when I can. And it's a book called Born to Run. And it's not just about running, but it's, kind of it's a beautiful story, and the subtitle being a hidden tribe, super athletes, and the greatest race the world has never seen. So that's what I've been doing these days.
Jiwon, what about you?
I'm doing yoga during my free time. So yeah, this is my Elon University spring break. So I did some yoga in local yoga studio here in Radiance Yoga. They have amazing hot yoga studio. Love that. And I started watching Physical 100. Have you ever tried? that show on Netflix. It's just like packed with all the six pack nice body guys. It's a reality show in Korea, but yeah, it's not only about nice bodies. It's a very good show. I like that. And I also, speaking of body, I also started Three Bodies. I don't know title in English because I have Korean version Netflix. Samche, Three Bodies. I think that's sci-fi show. Yeah, that was a very good one as well. So far, I didn't finish that. So I guess that's it. I'm enjoying my spring break now. Need to go back to school on Monday. Yeah, but it's okay.
All right, Chelsea, Shane, what about you guys?
As far as free time, we have a almost 5-month-old baby, so it's kind of all encompassing. But I still have carved out time to watch Project Runway.
18 seasons.
There are a lot of seasons. I've
She's
started
watched
from the
all of them.
beginning, and I'm just plowing through. And I don't sew. I think fashion is really interesting. I don't portray that in the way I dress, but I just think it's so fascinating and amazing and creative. So that's what I watch each night before bed. How about you?
It goes in waves, but lately I've been really interested in the I think they're calling them docu-series. So like the one that I'm watching right now is the Roman Empire. And it's like a combination of like the History Channel, like, you know, some professor is talking about history, but also they've got actors who are acting out all the stories and the scenes kind of overlaid. And so that's been my guilty pleasure. Like Leo goes to bed around 9 o'clock, and then till about 10:30, I'm binging the Roman Empire.
See, I'm in one room watching Project Runway. He's in the other room watching Roman Empire.
And I'm just thinking like, I like the drunk history version of those.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, that is a good little window into all of your souls right there. Okay. Thank you so much, you guys. This has been awesome. We can't wait to have you here April 19th in the Van Dyke Performance Space. So we will see you all then.